Howdy everyone, we're back with some RPG horror stories. Our first story is going to be from user Meet the Sea and is titled, The Community You Spent 9 Sessions Building, It's Gone, Sorry. Advice? And it begins with, so I'm my group's forever DM. Always have been, because I'll be frank, I'm not super into the player side of the game. But one of my players wanted to try DMing and I was definitely feeling burned out, so we swapped. The game started and we are in a world with 4 kingdoms, brink of war, all the classic good stuff. As the game goes from level 1 to 5, we slowly discover a lot of the kingdoms are kicking people out and a lot of people are nationless. There is a big bad coming, and if these people aren't part of a kingdom, they're going to be a risk. Suddenly, as one of our level 5 quest rewards, we are given a few options, and one of them is an island off the coast of one of these major kingdoms. Suddenly it all clicked for me. I knew what the DM's hope was, and I was all for it. I accepted the island with the understanding it was mine and wouldn't be part of this guy's kingdom, but he'll protect me from other invaders. Good deal. I collect the deed and my island and find there's an abandoned town in it, a good base of operation. Definitely seems like this was the plan the DM has for us to take over the island and make a nation, and I'm all for it. My notes are full of what buildings I have, populations, NPCs in my city, training guards, super involved, and I'm even making sure to do this during downtime out of the game, not while questing. So I just ping the DM once so we can say, hey, during these 3 weeks, can I do this in the town? How much would that cost? Just because I know not everyone is invested in playing D&D Sims as me. I think it's actually a really cool concept, allowing your players to build up an entire island slash city. Most DMs, if they do this, kind of allow the players to have maybe like a small base or like a keep or something like that. I also like the fact that OP here is, doing this during downtime and potentially like outside of the session, because not everybody wants to sit through city building slash management. My fear in this, though, is that this is a lot for this first kind of time DM to take on. Like that's a big thing to do. Let's continue though. This carries on for almost 10 sessions, about 4 months of playing. We encountered the Lich Big Bad a few times, and they've conquered the nation furthest away from us and are moving forwards. Awesome. I'm making the last line of defense. Our nation will be the last. Totally think I've predicted this, and I'm very excited for it. During the last session of my town, we are off on a quest seeking a dragon out for information when I suddenly get a message sent to me via a ring. I have a ring that lets an NPC message me from the town who I let run day-to-day operations. They say someone in the town is acting really weird. I tell the others and ask them to come back with me. The dragon can wait. Our home's in danger. We all return to the town, and a man has been captured. He has black, inky eyes under some sort of trance and saying how much town is doomed. That wording. The vines below are poisoned. The earth will turn against us. Our druid does a nature roll and figures out this guy has buried something really bad in our town that will basically sink it into the earth. Fuck, I panic. I get people to go out and dig around the town, but the druid has a much better idea to get the ranger to basically retrace these guys' steps. We follow a path and find a few ogres defending a dig site. After an intense battle, we dig out the ground and find a dark seed. The druid is able to find out this seed drags things into the earth and was probably made by the lich. It would have destroyed the whole town. Okay, this is really cool. I love the story beats. Players' homes in danger. There's very personal stake in this. The players have been building this up probably for quite a while. Like, this is awesome. I love it. Let's continue though. This was intense. Glad we saved the town. Guess we need to be more on guard if we are messing in the Lich's plans. Suddenly, pop. Lich appears just outside our town. Oh, you found the seed? Digging it up. Let me teleport here and activate its effect. That's a trap card. You triggered my trap card. The Lich clicks his fingers and describes how my town is sucked into the earth and totally destroyed. Everyone inside dies. Can I roll to see if I get there in time to save anyone at all? Could the druid morph the earth to make a safe spot? Nope, Lich is too strong and can counterspell. Everyone's gone. Town's dead. I'll admit, I then made a bad choice. I shouldn't have gotten upset or attached, but I say that there's no way my character wouldn't try to save people and will die with the town. The DM stops the game and tells me I'm metagaming and I can go and get revenge. I wasn't really interested in that. I felt all my downtime efforts and all my character goals were deleted with nothing I could do to stop it. and would rather run a brand new character than try to salvage this one. DM tells me I'm ruining the story by committing suicide when I don't need to, and he has a plan and to stick with it. We end the game and we step away and we have yet to return. I'm not sure what to do. On the other hand, I was taking stuff to make me hate the bad guy, but I already did. I was running a generic hero who wanted to take down the Lich to save his town. I already had motivation. Another player suspects the DM had got a little tired of my downtime activities, but I hope it's not that. What would you do? Would you keep your character alive or make a fresh one? I'm not even sure if I want to continue playing this campaign at this point. I feel as all my efforts have been for nothing when I assumed I was engaging exactly as the DM wanted. Okay, so that was a little discombobulated, the whole post, so I apologize if I was tripping up on stuff. It was very weirdly written in places. So this sounds to me like either the DM has potentially an interesting story beat where they could potentially unfuck the town being blown up by and eaten by the Lich, which is potentially very cool, or I actually do think it may be the latter, where the DM got tired of helping manage an entire town outside a session. If it was the latter, DM's advice here: they should have communicated with their players and either simplified the rules for running the town, because we don't know how complicated it was, but it does sound like this player was very in deep on what they wanted the town to do, or let the players know it was too much and that they were going to wind down the rules for running this town and make it more of like a background thing than it already was. Just basically being like, hey, whatever you want, it's just gonna be very generic. Like, you want a blacksmith, we'll make a blacksmith, like no rules for it. If it was the former for this, they should have been hinting at ways to potentially unfuck this, either with story beats before the town ends up getting swallowed, or they need to sit down and talk it out with the players. Like, especially because, you know, emotions are probably raw. Say something like, hey, I know emotions are raw. I promise you this will have a good solution. Please put your trust in me. Sometimes you need to do that. It is a little like breaking the story here, but like when emotions are raw, players have put a lot of work into something, and when you take that away from them, they get mad. And that's understandable. They put a lot of work into this. Sometimes just as a DM, you just sit down and you go, hey, I know we're all emotionally raw right now. Something big and bad happened. Trust me, I have a good plan for this. I want you to trust me and roll with this. Please put your faith in me. And that will let them know, hey, I understand that you are feeling very emotionally raw right now. I just took one of your like cool toys away. Trust me, I have a good plan for this. Like, I'm not just fucking you to fuck you. Those are probably the best ways to go about it. And I get the feeling this DM feels like they're way out of their element. Like, as a first-time DM, having your players get an entire, not just a base of operations or a keep, but an entire town / nation is a ton. So I can understand this DM being overwhelmed, especially when they're trying to plan just the session to session stuff. And then outside of session, there is a player who is probably sending them a shit ton of stuff they want to do and adding a bunch more work on top of it. Probably a lot for this new DM. So they probably got overwhelmed and were like, fuck it, I'm going to get rid of the town. I don't have to deal with this anymore. You know, and that may have caused some things. For this player, chit chat with your DM. Sit down with the DM. Be like, hey, I really gave a shit about this town. Like, I would hate for it to go away. Like, is there potential story beats coming up that we could maybe recover the town or time warp it back into place or something? Or is this town gone forever? You know, if it's going to be gone forever, this character might lose his motivation to continue. I will make a new one and maybe continue. But talk it out, because maybe the DM will be like, hey, like, I loved like running this town, but it was too much. And then you guys can maybe come to an agreement like, hey, let's find a way to bring this town back into the fold. We will find a way to lessen the rules and out of game impact that this town is having, because it's taking maybe a lot of this DM's time and it's stressing them out. But definitely sit down and talk it out. That way, maybe you don't leave a table you were having fun at. And, you know, this DM can learn from this, because this is going to be a learning experience. This sounds like it's a very first time DM. It's a learning experience for them to potentially be more communicative with their players, because things are going to be more communicative with your players, just because they're not thinking too much ahead. They may be a little too focused on, hey, this is causing me disruption and pain, and I'm trying to like lessen that for me so I can focus on the main campaign. Our second story is from BlazyPoo32. I love the name. Titled DM and Player Sexualizing My Warlock's Patron. So, in one of the campaigns I play with some guys I met at the library, I play a warlock, good friends with the DM in particular. For my patron, I had a clear vision of the character, a drawing to go with it, and the rest was for the DM to decide. Kinda wish I didn't do that, because immediately both the DM and another player just say multiple times, "Oh look, goth dommy mommy," and it just made me feel disgusted, to be honest, but I thought that'd be the end of it. Oh no, the DM alters her background lore, making it so that she was a hooker in the past and ran a brothel, and then one of the other players chimed in to make it so that he had slept with my patron in the past. I'm now stuck with this over-sexualized character now, and I don't even want to touch it anymore. Okay, so super short. So, I understand making a quick Dommy Mommy joke. I think they're kind of funny, as long as you know your audience is going to be okay with it. The players I play with, one, they make Dommy Mommy jokes themselves, so it's completely funny to like crack that joke. What issue I have there? To completely change the lore on a character is something else. So OP has a couple options here. You could either sit down with your DM and lay out the issue, being like, hey, I don't like maybe these jokes, maybe they make me uncomfortable. One, two, I don't like the fact that the lore changed on this character this way. Like, I thought this patron was going to go in this direction, and I'm not a fan of the over-sexualization of them. I think it hinders my character. I think it negatively affects my character. Can we change this? Other option, find a new table. I hate to say the latter is an option to go with, but if they're going to treat the patron this way, if the DM and if the lore, the theme of the campaign is meant to be it's meant to be serious in nature and not over-sexualizing, cracking jokes, stuff like that. If they're going to treat one character's patron this way, I feel like it's very likely they're going to over-sexualize something else. And if that keeps occurring over and over again, that may cause OP here to just be super uncomfortable, and it'll just negatively affect them in general. So I would just either sit down with a DM, lay it out, see if you can fix it. If not, say, hey, I'm not enjoying where the story's going here. I think this isn't the table for me. Thanks for playing. I'm out, and just stop playing and just find yourself a new table, because it's not worth it to have bad D&D. Bad D&D is not like bad pizza. Bad pizza is still pizza. Bad D&D can ruin tabletop role-playing. Bad role TTRPGs can ruin it. If it's bad enough, it can just make you not want to play TTRPGs anymore. So it's just not worth it sometimes to play consistently bad, a consistently bad table. So, but hopefully they figure it out and they're happy with what ends up happening. So, our last story is going to be from She Who Dances, and it's titled, You're Attacking My Religion, the story of a Christian player who took things too far. Before we get into things, while this player is a religious person, I know all religious people aren't like this. Anyways, I've been playing TTRPGs on and off for the past few years, but found myself dry after leaving a long-time group of friends. So I went to the most reputable places possible to find a game. Requests for online TTRPGs and nerd shops. One Discord invite later, I was in the server, meeting the cast. DM, the DM of our party, actually an absolutely excellent person with a few flaws that made this story horrific. Fundy, the problem player, a very religious person who enjoyed passionate sermons. I hope that was not actually passionate in person. A few others were present, but they didn't contribute to the story in any major way. We get to character creation, and I decide to pull out my usual character, a paladin who broke her oath because she was tired of being strict and holy. She was constantly a bit jaded, foul-mouthed, and sat at a 45-degree angle in her seat, being generous. Fundy played a cleric of the... fuck it, I'm going to call it God, because it definitely was meant to be. He had Christian tenets, he often spoke Bible verses, so on and so forth. Session 0 went pretty well, and afterwards, Fundy messaged me. He wanted our characters to have a backstory together. Basically, he wanted the church I left to be his, and he was trying to lead me back to the Lord. I agreed because I thought it'd be fun RP stuff, and I had no intention to have my character return to God. Agreeing was a bad idea. Okay, so agreeing was definitely a bad idea here, because they very likely got the implication, by they I mean Fundy, that OP's PC was eventually going to accept their way back into, and I'm going to, in quotes here, God's light. If I were in this situation, I would say to Fundy that my PC is open to it, but I would not guarantee that my PC would end up back into the fold with that Faithwise by the end of the campaign. But me personally, I'm big on my PCs kind of being open-ended to how the story goes and kind of responding to however the world kind of grows around them. So they're very open to wherever they end up at the end, changing wise. Let's keep the story going here. Most downtime was spent with Fundy trying to convince my character to, quote, abandon her sinful ways and, quote, return to his loving embrace. My character, being a bit of an abrasive prick, would tell him to shove off, or if he's so loving, why is the world fucked up? Every time I did this, I heard an exasperated breath from his microphone. Eventually, another player messaged me. She liked how our characters interacted and wondered if they could begin an in-game relationship. I agreed, and this went pretty well. Her character started to draw mine out of her edgy, brooding shell, and the two of them shared some pretty adorable moments. Fundy didn't like this. His character's long tirades now mentioned her as well. He'd say things like, "You don't want to drag her down the path as well," and "Women shouldn't lie with another one." "You need a man of cloth, not another woman." My character would try to intimidate him to fuck off at that. After the session, I messaged the DM to say that Fundy's rhetoric was making me uncomfortable. The DM said that Fundy wasn't like that IRL, he was just playing his character. Okay, this is a point where the DM and the PCs really need to sit down and talk out the dialogue that's being used. I can understand someone who isn't a homophobe, maybe wanting to play a flawed character that might be a homophobe that eventually grows out of it. But you do need to make sure that the other players are okay with the homophobia that's being like kind of broadcast in character here at the table. Things said in RP can hit very close to home, so it never hurts to pause and kind of talk things out. I also, on the other foot, if I had multiple PCs that were going to engage in a relationship, and I say multiple, if I had like two PCs that were going to engage in a relationship with each other in game, I would maybe sit down and have a talk with the players just vaguely about their thoughts on being okay with other PCs potentially romancing each other. Granted, when I run tables, the way I do them is that if there is anything that hits anything close to a sex scene or anything like that, it is an auto fade to black. I do not care if people kind of romance each other or NPCs in the world. I think it can be great character building, but if your character hits a point where they're going to try to bed someone, we are going to fade to black. You can write that fan fiction, commission that sweet art later. You do you. Let's continue our story though. Eventually, Fundy posted some art of our characters, AI generated art at that. My character was depicted as a blonde girl with pale skin and gorgeous plate armor. Now, dear readers, my paladin was black with dark brown hair and studded leather armor. When I brought this up to him, he said, "Well, this is what I imagined her to look like, but whatever you say." I was a bit perturbed by this and messaged a DM again. He said something along the lines of, "I can't change what already exists, but I'll talk to Fundy." I don't know if he did. Okay. If I was OP, I would ask to not have any art made of my PC. If you're, I'm not, I want to be like, you get offended, but if like somebody is making art inappropriately that you don't like, just say like, "Hey, can you just not make any art of my character?" Either Fundy made a mistake here and just maybe there either wasn't a good descriptor of her, like of OP's character here, or maybe they weren't listening very well to any of the descriptors for OP's character, or potentially here they really wanted a specific, like they had an idea in mind of what OP's PC looked like, even if it goes against what OP described. And I'm hoping it wasn't the latter, but it might have been. We don't know for sure. We weren't sure if it's malicious or not. Let's keep it going though. Eventually things broke down. The PC, my character was attached to died, and my character retreated back into her shell. She took it badly, becoming moody and confrontational. Fundy saw this as a time to preach to her again, talking about how this was a prime time to repent for my sins and return to my father, so she may be honored in heaven. My character said, "Go away, or my next sin will be cutting you down." This was just intended as an empty threat, as I'd done this to these other PCs and never followed up. Even having my character apologize for being a tool later. Fundy didn't take it like that. Fundy challenged my character to a duel, saying that if he won, she'd have to return to the order. Given this was kind of bad cleric versus an optimized to hell and back paladin, I absolutely whipped his ass. My character healed him, and I decided to be a bit of an ass, saying, maybe if you spent more time learning to fight, you'd be able to convince me. Fundy flipped out, screaming about how I was a cheater, a sinner, a racism, a sexism, a homophobia, and how I should get some Christian husband to, quote, take pity on me. Was he saying racist, homophobic, and sexist? I assume they're alluding to, they said racist, sexist, and homophobic stuff. I've never heard of anybody say you're a racism, you're a sexism, you're a homophobia. I imagine they're alluding to them slurring, which is not cool if that's the case. He ended his initial screaming rampage with, and you're attacking my religion. The DM kept trying to calm him down, but he kept screaming and screaming. Eventually, I left the call. DM sent me a message later apologizing and saying how he didn't see this coming at all. I told him that he was stupid for not seeing it coming, and I was giving an ultimatum. Either he kicks Fundy or I'm leaving. The DM agreed he made some mistakes and kicked out Fundy, saying his character died in our duel. Fundy sent me a few private messages later, continuing his berating and use of slurs. Okay, so he definitely was slurring, demanding I stop being into women and come to God, or I'll be unloved and burn in hell. I called him a bitch and blocked him. Okay. I do find it interesting that Fundy can dole out dickish remarks and stuff like that, and things that are kind of snide and douchey, but can't necessarily take them back. I'm all for the use of allegories or things meant to be similar to Christianity in your games, you know, assuming other players are comfortable with it. It can make probably for an interesting story beat. I probably wouldn't do it personally, but I think it could be done. But definitely don't take offense when other players don't vibe with it. You know, different strokes for different folks. This DM definitely should have been more attentive and had the players talk it out prior to everything blowing up. And it's probably for the best that Fundy left the table. It definitely is, because they were slurring to hell and back. I don't think this table overall would have been a good fit for them. Hopefully the DM learns from this and is more proactive in the future. I will also say, if I'm at a table and one of my players starts using slurs of any kind against other players, you're gone from the table. It shouldn't hit the point where the player leaves and gives an ultimatum, it's me or him. It should be, hey, you're speaking in a manner that is not appropriate. Either A, you stop that, or what I would be like, no, we're done. Like, this is not appropriate. You can't talk like this. You're gone from the table, and just remove them. It shouldn't hit a point where a player's having to give an ultimatum being like, hey, this player obviously said some very, very nasty shit. It's either me or them. It should be the DM reaching out to them afterwards going, hey, I'm so sorry you went through that. They're gone. I'm sorry I didn't do more in the moment, or something like that. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more. Please comment below, because I love getting to read all of your stories. Don't forget to catch me later on Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody. Oof. Another video down. What time is it? Uh-oh. Oh, shit. I'm late. Oh, fuck. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Much better. Hey everybody, this is how we're going to be doing the RPG horror story stuff from now on. Thanks for being along for the ride so far. I've been wanting to do something a little bit different with the content, kind of do something new, you know, avatar, new location, new way to kind of like express myself and read stuff out and kind of react and give advice on stuff like that. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little debut for it. I appreciate everybody who gets to continue watching.
God, I'm really good at talking. I appreciate everybody who watches. You guys are awesome. I love getting to interact with you guys. I love getting to hear your stories that you guys put down in the comments, and get to talk with you guys about, like, you know, AD&D and all the various stuff you guys have gotten to play. And I enjoy getting to give my spin on some of the stories we're getting to react to. And I hope you guys stick around and continue to watch. Hopefully this new way it's being done doesn't like completely ruin it for you. And I will see you guys all in the next one. Have a good one, everybody. For real this time.